Leadership isn't just changing, it's evolving in ways we're only just beginning to imagine. And women, we're not playing this game anymore. We're the ones reshaping the entire field, building models, movements, and businesses that serve more than just a few. On the She Leads podcast, you'll hear real conversations with women who've broken through all kinds of barriers: revenue, identity, borders, and expectations. There's no sugarcoating here, just the truth, told by those who are living it. I'm Adrienne Garland, entrepreneur, strategist, educator, and creator of live experiences, gathering women leaders together for over a decade. And this is the She Leads podcast. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the She Leads podcast. I'm so excited because I have a very special guest. Her name is Catherine Gray, and she's the COO and general partner for the Silicon Valley Women's Founders Fund, the CEO and founder of She Angel Investors, and she's the producer of the award-winning movie Show Her the Money. Catherine's also an author, a TEDx speaker, and co-founder of the She Angels Foundation. She hosts and produces the popular podcast series, Invest in Her, that's focused on ways to accelerate the funding of women entrepreneurs. We love that. And she encourages more women and men to invest in venture capital as a way to build wealth, make an impact, and leave a legacy. Welcome to the She Leads podcast, Catherine.
Great to be here. Always love talking about entrepreneurship, fundraising, and investing. So let's do it.
We're going to get into all of it. So the women that are in the She Leads podcast audience are always looking for super practical advice. We need to really figure out, how do we launch businesses that grow, that scale, that are profitable, so that we can build the wealth that we deserve. And then we all know that when women have wealth, that we do good things to help our families, our communities, the world, humanity, right? So more women really must launch and grow these profitable companies. We can't afford to not do this anymore. So you have gone around the country, probably around the world, talking about all of this. What can women do to launch more profitable ventures that really make a difference?
Well, there's a line in our movie, Show Her the Money, that Dawn LaFrida says. She's the largest franchise owner of restaurants in the country for the segment of women. And she says, without funding, you're doomed. And that means if you want to scale your business, you have got to find funding. And that has been one of the biggest drawbacks for women. They're getting 2% of venture capital. We've got to change that. Otherwise, how are they going to grow and scale if they don't have that funding? And so that really is key. And so we as women have to determine, how are we going to change our money mindset so that we can become great fundraisers, that we can understand how that old boys network works and create our own. I always kid around and say, women don't want to belong to the old girls network. So we have to change it. It's going to be the bold girls network, but our form of the old boys network, right? The bold girls network. We have to come together. More women than ever are coming into money. There's a big transfer of wealth, the biggest in history. Those women have to get on board funding other women. One, because it makes a great investment, and two, because it's the right thing to do to leave their legacy and start shifting this, power of wealth to women who tend to be more sensitive to the needs of all people and the planet and children. And, women are, I feel that shift of power happening even in this political arena that is trying to hold women back. And so we have to take it into our own hands. Like, no one's coming to save us. We have to do it ourselves. And that really is the message.
Yeah. So this is so interesting. And I'd love to almost have a conversation with you and tease some of this apart, because it's such a multidimensional problem, right? It's I think that all women would probably agree that, like, yeah, it's a really good idea to invest in other women. I think we probably all want to do that. And we also find ourselves not earning as much money if we're, employed. We're only earning whatever it is now, 81 cents, 85 cents, I don't really know the dollar. So, and then we take a pause in our careers for a variety of different reasons, to help people, to help raise kids, whatever the case may be. And so overall, our wealth basket isn't as big as some of these men who earn more. They have, longer times in their career. They can take that money that they've earned and invest it in whatever, right? That's part of the problem. The second part of the problem is that women just, I think, culturally, were not socialized to have a comfort level around money. And what we're taught to do is buy Louis Vuitton bags, right? And look hot for dudes. And so that's where we're taking some of our money and diverting it away from making it work. And then I think the other problem is that, when we launch businesses, we don't tend to launch businesses that fit the pattern of what traditional venture capitalists have invested in the past. So we've got all these issues.
Mhm. Yeah. And
Which one is the most out of those problems? What do you think, if we solve that problem, could lead to us at least making some progress? Because we haven't made progress.
well, we have made some progress. I mean, in the angel investing world, women are getting slightly more than they used to. And we need to shift that also over to the venture capital world. The reason I made the movie Show Her the Money was to, in an engaging storytelling kind of way, explain to women how easy venture capital is to understand, how accessible it is for them to invest in, how exciting it is to invest in because it's determining what are the products and services in the future. And the bottom line is, like you mentioned about shopping or buying things, women impact more than 80% of the buying decisions. And I keep saying, why aren't we impacting more of the investment decisions? If we're going to be buying those products and services, we should have a say so in what those products and services are. And I think women are starting to get it, but it's an education process, pointing out everything that you just said. And so you can only change things by educating and bringing awareness. And that's what I love about film and television. We both have that background in cable TV. And I do believe it's film and TV that helps change culture, because what it does is it educates and raises awareness in an entertaining way. And that's the way people like to learn. They like to be entertained and learn at the same time, right? And then they will do something about it. So if they don't even know that there's a problem, or no one's telling them how to fix that problem, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And so that's our movement. We call it a movie and a movement. So we've coined it a movement, and we have created a movement to educate more women about venture capital, what it is, why it's important, and why they should want to be a part of it, either as an investor or as someone who is the recipient of that funding, building a business. And all the research shows that women do make a better investment. They handle their money more effectively, they're more efficient. It's probably because they're so used to multitasking, it makes them a great business owner. And so, why wouldn't we invest in women if the numbers say that that makes total sense? They make, more on each dollar than the males do. So why not invest in them? It doesn't make any sense. So, but people don't invest in something they don't understand, and that's our whole point, is we're trying to get them to understand really how fascinating, exciting, lucrative, and amazing venture is. And so that's really what we're doing here with Show Her the Money, the film. We also have our book coming out called Show Her the Money. And the purpose of that was, I looked around, I said, oh my God, all the women that did invest in this film and men that invested in this film all had the most extraordinary stories themselves of, challenges to triumphs. And I thought, let's share their own stories because anytime you hear someone else's story, you can feel yourself in it and it helps give you inspiration and hope, right?
Mhm.
And so I wanted to share their stories. People are in it like Sarah Dusek, who I just had on my invest in her podcast. She sold her company for $100 million. And she used to be working at a nonprofit NGO, making nothing, just doing what she loved. But then she found out that she could do what she loved and make money. And then that money that she made is allowing her to give back and invest in more women entrepreneurs in an arena that's very important to her. And I thought that's the perfect example of why we should be wanting to make money. It is to be able to give back and invest in things that make a difference on the planet and that feel like our passion and our purpose. And so making money isn't a bad thing. She said she grew up with that money mindset like, oh, you shouldn't be wanting money, that's a bad thing. No, it's a powerful thing and it's what you do with it that matters. And so that's really what we want to get across to people. It's okay to make money. It's okay to ask for money because you're asking for this download that you've had that's your purpose on the planet. And you're not asking for yourself, you're asking for that cause. And that should make you fearless in asking. I raised about, a little over $1 million to make this movie. I've had to find like minded people who believed what I did, that a film would help solve and change this problem. And so that's, you know, that's what I had to do is find like minded people. When you're a founder out there looking for funding for your product, you have to find like minded people who believe in you and believe in this vision that you have. And I think one of the mistakes people waste so much time trying to convince people that are not their people to invest in them and not recognizing it immediately and just moving on and putting your energies into the people who really see the vision the way you do. And then it will be easier to raise that funding. Does that make sense?
Makes so much sense. I mean, everything that you have just shared makes so much sense from the person who's highlighted in the movie. I think that's something that I wanted to actually talk to you about a little bit. I think that there is a misperception that in order to invest, that you have to almost already be wealthy, right? And the example that you just shared, somebody working in the nonprofit arena, selling her business, her profitable business for $100 million and then giving back and doing all of those things. It's like exactly what women do, right? It's like once we have a certain amount of money, we feel like we've taken care of our family and needs and everything like that. We take that money and then we put it to good use. So I love that example so very much. And I think you touched on something so important. I think that when women start everything that I say is probably a sweeping statement, but women are very comfortable in that nonprofit world, right? Because we're
Right.
such givers. We're like we're doing this because we love and we want to help and all of that. And in the past that had not been tied to profit. And again, going back to your example, she took her knowledge and expertise and said, I don't need to just be in the nonprofit world. I can actually do both, right? I can do good and I can make a significant profit and create significant value, $100 million worth. Hello. More women need to adopt that mindset, right? We need to get out of the like, you're just expected to help and just get by. And I think there's a fallacy out there that, women don't have the money to invest because we're so busy trying to help everybody and we're not helping ourselves.
I think nonprofit giving is important. That's why
course.
I have She Angels Foundation. We give grants to female founded nonprofits that are helping women and girls because even in the nonprofit world, women and girls initiatives get 2%. Same as in venture capital. It's always a pathetic story. And so we had to do something to help change that. But we don't have to just give to charitable giving.
Right.
In fact, it's very charitable. You're doing good when you invest in for profit women, make more money from it, and can do really great work in the world by supporting women entrepreneurs who have amazing ideas and innovations that need to see the light of day. There are so many innovations in history. We mentioned them in our movie that wouldn't be here if it wasn't for women. Everything from refrigerators to central air. Like, who knew? We couldn't even function without these women founded inventions. And the same will be now and moving forward. What innovations are they going to have that impact everything from health to climate change? They have to be funded. So why wouldn't women and men who have a great degree of wealth be investing in women and their great innovations? That since women make up 50% or more of the population, why would we overlook all of that brain power and innovation? It doesn't make sense. But it is a good investment. It's okay to make money from that investment, that you're doing good in the world. And the other thing that's a fallacy is people think you can't invest in for profit companies that actually are doing something really good and make money. And you absolutely can. It's done every day. And so, why not make money with that money that you want to do good with so you can do more good?
So, what kind of advice would you give to someone who is investment curious? I would say a woman who's investment curious and she's maybe not wealthy. Maybe she's at the beginning of her career, or maybe she's, in the middle of her career trying to pay for college and the house and everything else, and doesn't feel like she actually has any money to invest, but she wants to. What would you say to her?
I would say to her, at least go and learn about it so that when you are in a position to invest, you can. And, there's lots of classes out there and also angel investor groups. So you can go and meet really dynamic people. I always say those are the most fascinating people on the planet, are the ones investing in angel groups and in venture capital. The most brilliant people on the planet. You'll get to meet all of the innovators and founders who are creating the future. Why wouldn't you want to put yourself in that arena? And so, you know, as Dawn in the films says, she has actually it's in her book, Show Her the Money book. Dawn LaFrida says, you are the five people that you hang out with. And so surround yourself with other people. You want to be an investor, surround yourself with people who are investing and you will become that. So you just need to learn about it, keep that in your circle, learn how to build your wealth. But I think you learn by doing. So even if you start small and you invest $1,000 into an angel group who's investing in an innovative woman's product or some other innovation, at least you're getting started. You're getting it in motion. You're learning, and learning is fun, you know?
Yeah, learning I totally agree. I'm a lifelong learner. I do really believe that learning is fun. And there are definitely a lot of women out there. I almost want to like channel the woman that is introverted, who is intimidated by finance, who's even intimidated by listening to what you're saying. Go out and find an angel investment group. If I'm a shy, introverted person who's curious but doesn't know if she would like fit into that. She doesn't really have any money, maybe a little bit, doesn't know she doesn't live in New York or LA or Chicago or Dallas. What does she do?
Oh, there's angel groups everywhere. I've been everywhere from Milwaukee to Minneapolis. to even Fargo, North Dakota with our film. And there's investors everywhere. You can get in a group, and there's lots of entrepreneur groups also amazing women. Obviously, they're the innovators and creators. And immerse yourself with those people. Be immerse yourself with who you want to be. I also want to mention that two of the women from our movie have really great books out to help inspire this type of thing. So Sarah Dusick, that we were just talking about, has a book called Thinking Bigger, and it literally teaches women that have a world changing idea how to build your deck and raise your money. And so, Thinking Bigger is great. It tells her story and tells how to roadmap it for yourself. And the other is Marcia Dawood's book, which is Doing Good by Doing Well. And she talks about her journey into starting in angel investing and then into venture capital investing. And, one thing in the movie is we do talk about a lot of people will have like an IRA pension fund or some sort of retirement fund, and they don't even know that they could take part of those funds and put them into venture capital or some sort of alternative asset class, private equity, et cetera. And so that's a thing I think that's been very eye opening for a lot of women that, oh, I've got this money that is sitting in this account, really doing not much of anything. You mean I could take part of that and put it into this alternative asset class that's going to help impact the world and also probably be more lucrative than what I have it in? Wow, did not know that. So we always like to let people know about that too. And that there are venture funds out there, like the movie says, that you could put in 25,000 or 50 or 100. You don't have to be a multimillionaire to be investing. You just have to be, maybe in the C-suite earning a couple 100,000 a year, but you are in a position to be in this alternative asset class. And like you said, if you're not at this moment, you could start by crowdfunding, but also learning to, you know, get to know people in this circle for your future.
Yeah. I really like that. I teach entrepreneurship. I talk about it all the time.
Sorry.
I talk about that all the time on this podcast. And so much of what the students are curious about is, they have a business idea, we map it all out, we do pitch decks and everything. And even though we talk about financing and investments and everything, the final reflection is like, okay, but how do I raise money? Even after we've spoken about it, and I think that the key there is exactly what you're saying. It's networking, it's building your network, it's using and leveraging that in order to get not only information, but almost like access and introductions to whoever is sort of next. Ha- I think that we need to encourage these type of messages for women that are much younger. I think we need to almost start with women in high school.
100%. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. And because then that's where the aha moment, clicks, right? Instead of just thinking about grades, because we're always so good. Well, I don't know. I hardly know any women that don't get straight A's. You know what I mean? Like we're so smart, and we use that to, you know, further our education and everything. But sometimes we don't focus on the money part of it. Is there anything that Show Her the Money does to also help encourage? And I know you have your nonprofit organization, but are younger women being drawn to this whole concept of finance, investment, and things like that? Have you been seeing that on your, film tours?
Yes, 100%. In fact, there's a woman at Isabella at Harvard who started Girls in VC. Girls, yeah, something like that. And he posted, who's interested in, learning about venture capital. And the next day she got up and already had hundreds of people signing up. And yeah, it was kind of interesting. Yeah, it's called Girls. into VC.
Ah.
Isabella Mandis, girls into VC, and it's growing rapidly across many campuses. I think she has thousands involved in that community now. So those girls in VC are understanding at a younger age than we ever did that this can be a career path to go work for a venture capital firm. There are so few women at the heads of venture firms or working in them, especially in a decision making capacity. We need more of that. And so it starts with the young women thinking of it as a career path. So 100%, that is something we're very focused on. How do we educate women in high school and college to look at this genre?
And then also, I'm thinking because I was actually recently at a conference, this wonderful woman that I know, she does a lot to help younger girls that are in middle school and high school to basically, make it through. So she's in the Bronx and, there's so many just issues with some of these communities that are underserved, underrepresented. And I think about them, right? Sometimes they're just trying to survive. Sometimes they're just trying to at least complete their high school diploma, right? How can we also leverage some of these underserved communities? Because number one, there are so many problems that can be solved in communities like that that actually can, deliver value, right? It's like an untapped market almost. And there's so much wisdom and intelligence in these communities as well that has not been recognized at all. And so how can perhaps, investment, or at least, putting the idea that investment is a path for some of these underserved communities, how can we help that come to life as well?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I did a TED talk a while back called Fund Women Save the World. And in that TED talk, I was talking about research that says people tend to invest in people they identify with. So the problem has been the system is so broken because we don't see the underserved communities sitting at the table deciding who gets the money. So at the table have not been women, BIPOC, LGBTQ. So if we're not sitting at the table deciding who gets the money, well, then we're not going to get the money. And that's the bottom line. We have to be sitting at the decision making table. There are enough people out there in all of those sectors that I just mentioned that could be sitting at that table investing. And that's the point of the movement. We have to rally the troops to be the investors. So the only way to be the recipients are to also be the investors.
Mm. Oh, so good. That is so, so good, and it's definitely not something that that almost sounds counterintuitive, but that's exactly what needs to happen. It reminds me just of, you know we talk so much about, students, and they're always looking for internships, and they're always, they want a stable job when they graduate, even though they're in an entrepreneurship class. They're still looking for a job. And, I've said to them sometimes, like, I know you're looking for an internship, but why don't you be the person that gives internships?
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
So you want to create you want an internship, create one for yourself. And not only for you, but for other people, and make your own internship. And they're kind of blown away by that. Like, what are you talking about? How do you even do that? And, I don't know, but this is what we need to think. We need to be thinking about things in a much different way. And it's the same exact thing as you just said. If you want to be invested in, then you need to become the investor. And it's almost, if you really think about it, it's such a principle of like manifestation and the universe, right? It's like if you want to be loved, you must love.
Yeah. But then also too, like, okay, you have all these sectors of people we're talking about that are underfunded. women, BIPOC, LGBTQ. There's a lot of very successful people in that arena that I just mentioned.
Yes.
Those people have to become the investors in their people, just like Caucasian men have been doing for years. They
Yeah.
invest in their bros, they invest in their friends. People tend to want to invest in people they know and like, and that's just a fact.
Yeah.
And so whoever your circle is, you've got to be helping your circle. Some people are the investors and some people need the funding, and they have to come together. The bottom line is what you're saying is so true, is once they get the funding and they become successful, they then need to become the investor. That really is the cycle of it. And so some people will make their money and give back. Some people will inherit it. It's the biggest transfer of wealth in history. And it's going to women and to young people. And that we have to encourage them of what to do with that money that's going to impact the world in in the biggest way. And that is to invest in their own people.
Yeah, I love this so much. So I know that Show Her the Money has been on the road for quite some time. Ho- Is that the only way to see the movie? I mean, the book coming out is going to be so great, right? Because everybody knows where to go buy a book, right? Actually, let's say that everybody probably knows where to go buy a book, but we should probably support those independent bookstores that will be carrying the book. Let's start
Yes.
there. But, you know, how can people actually see Show Her the Money if you're not necessarily doing a screening in their town?
Yeah. So right now, the reason that we've made it that you have to book the screening in your hometown and have people come out and watch it and then do a after panel conversation about it and Q&A is because that's what makes it a movement.
Yes.
So we wouldn't have a movement if somebody could sit at home right now, watch it on whatever, Amazon, and then do what with that? Just go, oh, wow, there's a problem. And I'd like to be part of the solution, but I really don't know what to do. So this way, we can harness that excitement. And it's really quite magical when you attend one of these screenings. The energy in the room is palpable because people really didn't understand about venture capital. And then by the end of the movie, they not only understand it, they're excited about it and they want to get involved. And so you have to bottle up that energy and tell them, here's what you can do,
Mm.
here's how you do it. And so that's really the magic of this tour that we've done. We did a 100 city worldwide tour last year. It was actually a couple hundred screenings. We continue to do that this year. So people come to our site, showherthemoneymovie.com. They book it for their company or their community or their college, all of these things. So we continue that movement for right now. Will there be a phase where we go to, yes, you can go and get it at a certain day and time on a network? Yes, that is a long-term plan. But right now, we like the community engagement. We think it's so important to helping move this needle and actually actualize some change.
I love this. And what's so great about it is the women that listen to this show are definitely leaders and they are very diverse from so many different places. So, because they are leaders, I think that the call to action there is for them to go to the Show Her the Money website
Right.
and
Show her the money
register to,
movie.
yes, Show Her the Money movie and register to actually have a screening in their organization, in, if anybody has some type of a club or a meetup or whatever it is, to bring that to them and to the people that they know. And that is amazing, and that is how a movement is made. And it would be so amazing to almost have like an Uber conversation of all of the different places where Show Her the Money has been shown, and just show the power of, exponential growth of all these networks together. I think that that would be also a fascinating conversation.
One thing we've done differently this year from last year that does give more access is that you can do a virtual screening also. So you can have a live screening But if you don't have a theater to do that, you can book for your community a virtual screening, and then you can tap us to do an after screening panel, doing one just tomorrow for another group. They have offices all over the world and they're getting everybody to watch it. And then we do an after screening panel for Q&A and, you know, and that's a great way to go too. I mean, my first choice is the live and in person. I think there's a magic in that, but you can still book it and do the virtual if you want to reach people, let's say in many different cities. That is a great way to go.
I love it. And when is the book coming out?
Mhm. The book launch is July 15th. We have our first book launch in LA on the 20th at, like you said, a local bookstore called The Well. And yeah, we want to support local bookstores wherever we can. Then we have another one in August 18th in New York at the City Winery, Pier 57. Fabulous location there, venue on the water there. And that's a screening and the book launch, both. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, Catherine, I just really appreciate everything that you've shared. I absolutely love everything that you're doing. I mean, m- She Leads Media. We are huge advocates for women entrepreneurs, women leaders, and just making sure that we're doing everything to support, to invest in women is everything. It's everything. And it literally is the thing that I believe will help humanity, and we need help.
I'll say.
Yeah. So just thank you so much for seeing this and taking action and doing something about it. I know that this idea that you had and the fact that you brought it to life, that's, entrepreneurial in and of itself. And just the sort of the butterfly effect of everything that you're doing is going to end up blanketing the world. And I just really appreciate you.
Well, back at you, Adrian. Thank you for providing this platform to talk about it. It's platforms like this that, help keep our movement going and have everybody participate. We are all in this together, and we've got to, put our strengths together in order to create change. And I know that's what we're doing. Like, you tell women that we're getting the short end of the stick, they're going to rise up and change things, right? So we're on our way.
I love it. Thanks so much, Catherine.
Thanks, Adrian.
If this conversation moved you, inspired you, or made you think differently, please take a moment to leave a 5-star rating and review. It's not just about boosting the show, it's about amplifying the voices of women entrepreneurs who are leading with vision, building with purpose, and shaping what's next. We need more of these conversations in the world right now, don't you think? And if someone came to mind while you were listening, someone who matters to you, send this episode to them. If there's something on your mind about leadership, legacy, or what's next, I want to hear it. Head to sheleadsmedia.com/voice and leave a voice memo or note. Your insight might just help shape a future episode. Make sure to follow the show and come back next week for more conversations you won't hear anywhere else. Thank you so much for listening. This is the She Leads Podcast Network. This is the She Leads Podcast Network.